Okay, are you guys ready for your headliner for the night? You know him and love him from The Daily Show, so put your hands together for Josh Johnson!
I've been trying to listen to more music because I think that obviously it's important to read, it's important to talk to people, but I think music has a special place where you can learn something. Sometimes there's something that you can get from music that you just cannot get anywhere else. It doesn't hit the same through spoken word, it doesn't hit the same way through prose, through reading it, because I think whether it's melody or it's rhythm, there's something that you open yourself up to when there's music that you wouldn't if there wasn't. Like, it's a hard thing to explain sometimes, but there are little things that are written that stick with me. But then sometimes there's things that are just sung, and maybe it's just because of the way it's sung or something. I like that lyric. Let me think about that more, and then you chew on an idea, right? Music is incredibly powerful. Like, I think about back in Louisiana, I know somebody who she divorced her husband with a singing telegram. Now you can already imagine how different it hits to maybe be at a dinner and demand a divorce. I'm sick of this. I'm tired of you. I'm always putting up with the same stuff. I want a divorce. You know what I mean? Your server is like, so no dessert. Or even if you just write someone a letter, they're sitting at home reading this letter in this unsealed envelope. They're just sitting there reading it like, what? But to have a singing telegram show up, knock on your door, be hitting the music, little stereo, standing there. Beat starts, they're just, I am your singing telegram. And then they give you the worst news of your life. Dancing to it too. She doesn't want to see you anymore. You become a bore. She wants a divorce. And putting his hand out for a tip. You know, music hits different. I think sometimes one of the most beautiful ways to remember somebody that you lost is through music. You know, sometimes you'll tell a story or something, and if the story doesn't hold a significance for a person, it just doesn't. They don't capture the thing that you captured when you talked to them or when the story happened. Maybe you had to be there, maybe you had to know the person. But when somebody leaves a song behind, that's like timeless in a way. We lost a very important person. Legendary person. We lost Quincy Jones, right? And if you don't know who Quincy Jones is, just educate yourself. I mean, Quincy Jones is not just a legend, an icon of culture, of music, but something deeper, like understood. Quincy understood people, understood music, understood storytelling, right? Quincy was one of the master collaborators. There were people that you love and you love their work and you don't know Quincy's in it. You know? Like that, it's that way with Michael Jackson. Quincy and Michael Jackson had major hits. Michael Jackson owed some of his biggest hits to his collaborations with Quincy Jones because Quincy could help pull out the best parts of the person that he was collaborating with. And there's even stories. There's legendary stories that Quincy Jones has told. More stories than I could ever even attempt to describe. Like, crazy stuff. This man lived one of the most remarkable lives in American history. And there's stories that are so insane that Quincy's like not even in the story, but he's in the story. Like he's not even a part of the story, but the story came together because of Quincy. As an example, I heard this story. It's a little bit less than a rumor, but a part of me wants it to be true because it's fantastic. Quincy had daughters. Quincy's daughters were One of them was Khadijah. And at one point, Khadijah apparently was dating Tupac, right? And this still blows my mind. So Tupac, through potential collaborations that they were supposed to do, knows Michael Jackson, right? Michael Jackson obviously knows Quincy Jones from the hits that they made together and everything. But there's this one time where when Tupac was leaving somewhere with Khadijah, like I don't know if it was like a dance club or something like that, but they were having an argument. And you know, one of those arguments that you see where you're like, I don't know, is this bad? This is like, you know, like as a couple when you see them, and maybe it was that whisper fight, and you know that thing that couples do. It's like, I'm just. That's a big one at restaurants, you know. Oh yeah, you ever date somebody that could curse you out with those whispers? They hitting all the F's. Nobody hears, but. And you know, if you passing by, I don't know, is this a bad fight? Who knows? Or maybe they were having a screaming match. It doesn't seem like it because it seemed like kind of one side. Like Tupac was very annoyed with Khadijah trying to get her to come along and everything. And we've all been in a situation, if you've just been out, where you've seen a couple argue and you're like, is this bad? Do you know what I mean? Like you've been in a Walmart parking lot. Where you were like, is this just how they talk to each other? Or like, should I step in or something? Because this is uncomfortable, you know? And I'm not picking on Walmart. I've been to a Golden Corral and just waiting to be seated and you're like, all right, they about to eat together? That doesn't seem like a happy occasion. And so, you know, Tupac was saying something tantamount to like, come on, girl, hurry up, come on, right? But they're leaving as Michael Jackson is coming in, and Michael Jackson sees this. And so he approaches Tupac because of the closeness that he has with Quincy Jones. Quincy Jones' daughters are like Tupac's nieces to a certain degree. It's like that with any close friendship, you know? This is your uncle. Well, we're not related, but that's your uncle, right? And he says, hey, is everything okay? I don't like how you're talking to her. You need to chill out. You need to calm down, right? And then Tupac apparently says to Mike, hey, back up, all right? This is none of your business. Be about your way, all right? And then Michael is like, no, you don't understand. This is pretty much my niece. You're not going to talk to her any type of way, especially in public. You need to calm down, right? And then tells him again, you need to back up. You need to back off, right? And then according to the story, Michael Jackson beat Tupac's ass. I know how it sounds. But this is my thing. When I look at Tupac, I look at Michael Jackson, I can't help but wonder if the two of them, in a way, are like the inverse of each other. You know? Because we've seen from footage of this person that Tupac is, right? This incredibly adept poet, this person who pulls the tenderness out of horrific things and expresses that tenderness back through music or just through written word. That type of poet, that person is in some ways a sensitive person, like a sensitive soul. Maybe not soft, maybe not, you know, but there's someone who clearly has a sensitive side that they can access. And I think that a lot of like thug life, a lot of the street stuff, some of that is to sell records. Some of that he was really living. But you can't help but wonder how much of this persona is a persona to sell, to market, and how much of this is actually him. Because what if, when no one's around, behind closed doors, when you're just chilling, this guy is a sweetheart, sensitive person. You know, it's what's been said about him through people who knew him. And you look at Michael Jackson. We know Michael Jackson was abused horribly. Joe Jackson beat those kids. And you go through your life like that with abuse, it can harden a person. And maybe behind closed doors, when no one was around, maybe Mike was like a little bit more hardened than we'd like to believe. You know? So imagine that. You're fighting Michael Jackson. It's gotta be upsetting. I can't imagine trying to fight Michael Jackson, the king of pop. I can't imagine him fighting without doing moves for no reason. Imagine trying to fight Michael Jackson and he punch you, but he moving his leg. The leg not involved in the punch. You have the king of pop, right? And you have Tupac. Tupac is on the Everest of hip hop, right? Tupac, for better or for worse, created an entire lane of hip hop that people went down and either created some of the best artistry that I think personally has been known to man musically, and then some people who leaned into the street side a little too much and it just became something destructive. But Tupac is up there. And Tupac is who you would imagine would be beating on anybody, right? I'm not saying Tupac couldn't fight. All I will say is that the one fight that I saw Tupac in is the one that we can all see him in. It's the night that he was fighting with those dudes in Vegas. You know? A bunch of guys on his side, guys on the other side, everybody getting beat. I'm not saying Tupac couldn't fight. I'm saying the way that I saw him fighting in that video looked like the way all of us might try to double dutch. Do you know what I mean? Because there was a big cartoonish scuffle, just feet in the air, fists out of the, you know what I mean? Just like, you know, like with those Looney Tunes smoke clouds of fights and everything, and Tupac was outside of it, and you could tell he was trying to find his place. He was like, and now, you're fighting Michael Jackson. Someone so horrifically coordinated. He hitting you and then pop it and lock it. Doing all these extra moves and stuff. Michael Jackson probably the only person in human history that could be beating somebody's ass and sound like he getting beat at the same time. Just, he punching you, kicking you, and then he the one be like, ow! Be mad as hell. You trying to fight Michael Jackson. You trying to swing on him and everything. And every time you think you really got a good one, you planned it out, you know, the fist is gonna go in his face and I'm swinging with all your might. And then he just doing these dumbass leans. It's gotta be terrifying. Trying to fight Michael Jackson, he got enough cardio to dance for 3 concerts. You know, and he thin too, so he hard to hit, he moving off. You swinging at him, he's saying stuff to you, words that don't make any sense. Tamagotchi. What am I supposed to do? Whispering to you. You know what I mean? Because sometimes, especially if you have a fondness for a person, there's at least rumor that there are these tracks that got scrapped between Michael Jackson and Tupac. They were supposed to be on some songs together, right? So it's not as if they didn't know each other. And now imagine, you know this person. And you don't want to hurt them. They were talking disrespectfully to someone else that you love, and maybe they pushed you first, and now you're fighting, and then, you know, you hit them, and you hit them hard. You hit them real good. Now Tupac bent over and everything. God. Michael Jackson, he don't even want to say it, but he's like, are you okay? You know, the way I imagine it, Tupac gathered himself and was like, no, I'm not done. I can't go out like this. And he was written back in, you know, swinging at him and everything. And then Michael Jackson went to kicking. And that, even when Michael Jackson was dancing, he wouldn't kick normal. He was never just like doing a kick. It was always like his leg was gonna come off. The whole kick. And now you stand there, you've been kicked 17 times, you still standing up, got all these footprints on you, like you got run over at a marathon or something. Your friends roll up to you, and now you gotta be like, It was 6 of them. They came out of nowhere. They all had the same shoe on. Oh, this is brutal. You know what I mean? Imagine you fighting somebody you respect, too. You gotta fight one of your heroes. It's unnerving. Beating you up. Fixing his hat for no reason. Because hearing about this fight, hearing about this rumor, reminded me of a different rumor that I heard about Michael Jackson. Something that, I don't know. I mean, it's you can take it or leave it. I don't know. It's something that I believed for a little while because of who was saying it. But basically, Michael Jackson had such a passion for the specific art that he was doing. Not just the music, not just the spectacle, but just the whole thing. So much so that he would let it spill off stage. And all of it became a persona. All of it became a presentation, performance, almost all the time. And one of the ways that it presented itself was not just in how he dressed and how he looked and stuff, but also how he spoke. Because there's an idea that if you can be meek enough, if you could be gentle enough, if you could be soft-spoken enough, that people's perceptions of you will almost pass past you and just see the music. If you're not this big, larger-than-life character, if you're not getting in trouble all the time, maybe if people can just see me as this, like, the same kid that they fell in love with, now just making bigger and better things, maybe they'll love the bigger and better things I have to make, right? And so there's a rumor from a few different people who knew Mike well, who would chill with him, sometimes just out by themselves when there was no risk of being seen by the public. And they said that that voice, the voice that we know as Michael Jackson, the voice that's been, imitated over decades, was not his voice. That's what they said, that if you were hanging out with Michael Jackson, you just chilling with him at his house, he actually had a way more like level register than that, which is something that shocked me, because I was like, wow, imagine putting that much into a performance, that it's like off stage and it's everywhere, it's everyone that you meet, you're shaking hands with people, you're meeting people, and that's still not quite you. You're still putting it on a little bit, right? But now imagine you're fighting Michael Jackson. And not only is he beating your ass, but every once in a while he's like, come here, bitch. Like, that's gotta be maybe the most shocking part. I don't know what I would do. You're fighting Michael Jackson, and he's making 3 different noises at the same time. He got a low one, he got a high one. He's saying weird stuff. Not only do you have to fight Michael Jackson, you got to fight a possessed version of Michael Jackson, I'm assuming, because you've never heard him talk like this. No. That's one of the funniest images I have in my head, is Michael Jackson punching you in your forehead, and they'll be like, what's up, nigga? Like, that's... No, what's really hood, dog? What's really... Imagine, hey, you're Tupac. You're getting beat, presumably in front of some people, by Michael Jackson. At a certain point, you got to be like, guys, somebody must have a gun. Shoot this man. Even if you try to shoot him, Michael Jackson probably like catching the bullets. Well, maybe he knocks you down. You laying on the ground. You ever seen somebody get beat? This is, I know I'm digressing to digress, but like this, you ever see somebody get beat up real bad and all of a sudden it's almost like they have a cold or something because they start coughing? You know, it's like they get punched a couple times, they're like, and then they, Michael Jackson rolls you over with his foot, you know. Walks around you all disrespectful, just fixing his belt and stuff. He's standing over you. You don't know what's about to happen next. You don't know if he's gonna curb dance you or you're waiting for him. Is Michael Jackson gonna kill me? And then he's looking down at you. Maybe you even try to get up one more time. Maybe you got a little fight left. I can't go out like this. I have Thug Life tattooed on me. Give it all you got. You swinging at Michael Jackson. You kicking at him and stuff. And you got to worry about extra. You got to worry about like extra things with Mike. You know, you got to worry about his kicks, his punches. You know, you also got to worry about his pelvis. He also moving that all weird and stuff. Imagine somebody punching at you and then just. I don't know what to do with that. It's very upsetting. Michael Jackson punches you down to the ground again. You hit the ground. You're like, this is it. He's going to kill me. And he's standing over you, towering over you. And when you're waiting for him to hit you with that death blow, he just goes. I don't know. It probably didn't happen, but it's fun to dream. I love watching Valentine's Day from afar. I do. I love watching, because this is one of the only holidays where if we see an incredible romantic gesture, like just something over the top, we assume he did something wrong. Like that's you never see a dude with 50 balloons and go, that's so sweet. You usually are like, yeah, he down bad, huh? No. What I think is cool is that with time, Valentine's Day matters less to the couple. You know, like initially when you start out, those first couple years, maybe even 3 years, this is tense. You want to make sure you make it this amazing. You got to show them how much you love them. You got to be thoughtful. They said something 6 months ago. I remember. That's the gift. And with time, that all starts to fade. I've watched couples older than me for a long time. I used to work at a restaurant, and while I was there for a little while, I was the bar back. So I wasn't the bartender, but I went and got ice. I went and just helped prep and stuff like that. And back when I was the bar back, I'd see all these couples that had been together 10, 20, 30 years, right? And it was amazing how little Valentine's Day meant to so many of them. Like at all. I don't know what year it is, but apparently there just comes a year in your relationship where you look at each other and go, are you tired? Me too. We could do nothing. We could do nothing. Those first 3 years, you don't even suggest it. Those first 3 years, no matter how tired you are, you're like, no, we have to go to this restaurant. We have to go to this restaurant and have a good time and spend all this money for everybody on Instagram. Because I love going to a restaurant on Valentine's Day and just listening. Like one of those restaurants that's got Valentine's Day tasting menu, so you know it's all couples in there, and just sit there, take the AirPods out, and just be a witness, you know? Because those are the funniest fights. Y'all are already there. Y'all are eating. Y'all are cutting food, mad, cutting food. You can tell from the way that they're cutting the steak, this is not a good night. Just, you're supposed to cut it with the knife, not the fork. I love a good quiet fight. I love when they lean in and they're like, not here. One of the couples that cracked me up the most when I was a bar back was this couple. They had been together like 30 years. And you ever meet people who are a perfect mismatch? Like, I don't know why they were together, because all they ever did was fight, but they loved it. They loved fighting with each other. They found their worst enemy and they married them. Like, it was incredible. They clearly were having fun fighting. They'd be laughing while they were fighting, just laughing at how bad the other one was getting. They would go tit for tat. It was beautiful to watch. I was like, this is real love. And one time he told me the story. He was an older fellow, and he told me the story about how mad she got one Valentine's Day. They had been together for 8 years, and he didn't do anything for Valentine's Day. She was very upset. She was very mad at him. And, you know, he's older than me. He's got more experience, more life experience. But I was like, I mean, bruh, you didn't do anything. Like, I mean, I think she might be entitled to be mad. You know? And he was like, no, she doesn't get to be mad, all right? She doesn't get to be mad because 3 days before Valentine's Day, I gave her my kidney. How am I gonna give you my kidney and then you still want something? You want kidney and chocolate? You're not getting it. Kidney and chocolate is not happening, all right? You get one or the other. I bet you want one more. I remember the first time he told me that story, I was floored. I was like, yeah, it does seem unreasonable. You know, you waking up stitched up and everything. And she's like, well. Nah, it does feel crazy. A whole kidney too, man. And you know, y'all in love, y'all are donor match. It's hard to not do it. You kind of have to. You know, I want to be with you forever. And he used to love to tell that story. He would basically tell that story every Valentine's Day that I worked there. He would tell that story because he thought it was so funny to make her mad all over again about how he didn't do anything. Because then she would kind of get mad all over again, and we're like she would get madder because she knew he was only telling us because we would be on his side because he gave the kidney, which is a pretty big deal. And finally, there was 1 year I noticed that I didn't see them, right? And I just thought about them. Like, I didn't have their numbers or anything, and we were just talking, passing and stuff. And the next year came around, and they came in, and I was happy to see them again because I only get to talk to them when they're there, and they're always very entertaining. And he started in again. He started in on a story of how, Valentine's Day gave him kidney. And then she was like, well, I don't want to hear about that kidney stuff anymore. Because last year, smiling, she says, this last year, he got in a car accident. He got in a car accident. And guess who needed blood? And then I watched them argue
For 45 minutes, for a good portion of my shift, I watched them argue about the merits of blood over kidney. It's like, I don't want to hear about that kidney, boy. I gave you so much blood. You full of my blood now. I've been watching the Winter Olympics, and wow, this one's been a mess. I don't even know how many medals we have, to be honest. Like, I haven't been following that at all. I've just been following the catastrophes. You know, like this dude, okay, there was this athlete, he won bronze. He wins bronze, he walks up to the first camera ready to talk to him. And they're like, how do you feel about your win, right? And he's like, hey, this is something I gotta say. 6 months ago, I met the love of my life. And because I didn't know where it was going, I was sure this dude was about to propose. I was puzzled. I thought this dude was about to propose, which already seemed like a bad idea. I'm like, I don't think she here. Like, if you're taking an interview on the course, unless she's behind the cameraman, I don't know if this is a good idea, bro. And it's like 6 months ago, I met the love of my life. And 3 months ago, I made the biggest mistake of my life. It's like, all right, what does this have to do with athletics? This. Okay. Tell me more. I made the biggest mistake of my life, and I cheated on her. And I was like, oh, that's why she's not there. Okay. This is making sense now. And I cheated on her, and you know, I told her last week, and this has been one of the worst weeks of my life. She broke up with me. I've been racked with guilt. And look, I know he wasn't done with the speech yet, but in my head, I was like, oh, I wish I could have talked to him ahead of time, because a couple pointers. The fact that he's like, I told her last week and I've been racked with guilt for a week, I'm like, oh, okay. That does make it sound like you didn't mind the other 2 months. And he's like, I don't even know what this is gonna accomplish. And in my head, I was like, nothing. But I was trying not to interrupt him in my head and just listen to the whole thing. He's like, I don't know what this is gonna accomplish, but I just hope. And he started crying. And I was like, oh, okay, look, listen. As men, we should cry more. We should be able to cry openly. But when you did something bad and and I don't know you and you're telling me you did something bad as a first impression and you start crying, it does not make me feel anything for you. Imagine if you're meeting someone for the first time. You don't know each other at all, haven't exchanged names or anything, and the first thing they say to you when you meet them is, I didn't want to hurt him. I'm like, oh, get away from me. Get away from me. Uh-oh, all right. You about to make me pray. I will rebuke you in your face. I don't. No. And then, he's like, thanks so much. Pretty sure he walked away without answering the question. And then I saw news reports of it where they were like, the bronze was won by the biathlete who then went on to proclaim his love for his girlfriend that he cheated on. And I heard that and I was like, why does it matter that he's bi? doesn't really seem like part of the story. And then I did the mildest amount of Googling and found out that there is something called the biathlon. That's my bad. And he had asked a question about it later at like an official press conference, and they were like, what was that? What was that at all? Because that, I mean, did she call? Like, and he was like, no, I haven't heard back. I don't even know if she's seen it. And in my head, I'm like, bruh, she saw it. There's no way. This is... I don't know if she saw it. I just, basically embarrassed her on a world stage, so I have no idea if she saw it yet. And then he's like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I just blew up my whole career. And I was like, maybe? And then in the Olympic Village, it happened again. It happened again. They don't learn from anything. It happened again to the Olympics again. In the Olympic Village, they done ran out of condoms. I don't even know who's at fault anymore. I really don't. They had thousands. I don't know who's at fault anymore. If it's the, International Olympic Committee, or if it's the athletes. Like, at a certain point, I think you're eating them. Like, there's no way. Yo, there's no way. What a dumb scandal to have. And then you let the athletes tell it, and they sound so... When they've talked to reporters, I understand that a lot of what is being said is being translated into English. I get that. I understand. But you have to understand that in any language, some of the word choice is sounding very desperate. It's like... people have been quoted like, we don't know what to do. There are people quoted sound devastated, We don't know what to do. That's amazing. It's brought us to a screeching halt. These are, man, incredible. And it makes me wonder, like, when? Aren't y'all tired? I try to give respect to every Olympic event that takes place, because it's something that I don't do at a world-class level. But at the same time, y'all clearly got a lot of energy afterwards. Like, I'm starting to think that skiing is just like falling right. Like, if you could just fall forward standing up just right, maybe it's not as exhausting as I thought. Because I've been watching the Winter Olympics. I saw that cross-country skiing. Why? That cross-country skiing looks like one of the hardest things. That looks like what they should make you do if you go to jail. Like that cross-country skiing just seems crazy. It seems like it'd be faster to run. Like, why? I'd be so mad if somebody took me cross-country skiing. I'd be furious if somebody took me cross-country skiing. I've already never been skiing, right? But if somebody took me cross-country skiing, especially before I knew what it meant, because I found out this year. Because I'm assuming every skiing competition is just like a varied amount of like, whoa. You know what I mean? Like, even sometimes they got bent sticks, sometimes they got straight sticks. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Sometimes no. That's already scary enough. When I see them flying down a mountain, I'm like, that's something that I think I'm good. You never want to say never, and you never want to say I can't, but I can't never do that. That is for them specifically. Everyone who wants to do it. Because when they fall, the snow doesn't even look soft. It looks like they fell on a bunch of white rocks. And so if someone took me skiing, and they were like, yeah, we're gonna go cross-country skiing. I'm like, wow, the mountain's that big? And then, thank you. Just one friend caught it. But then, in my head, it's like, okay, whether it's a bunny slope or it's like the black diamond thing or a ruby, I don't know what they do. There's a certain amount of like slope, and then if you fall, it's a certain amount of pain and injuries. I think if you fall at the end, you fall fast, but it's only one fall. If you fall early, you're gonna be falling for a while. I've watched people, cause look, I've done shows out in like ski resort areas before. So in the distance, I've seen people fall, and wow, the beautiful dust clouds people make as they fall down. The skiing, the only thing that when you fall, you look like Tom and Jerry. You look like, I don't even see you, but I assume it hurts. Wow, just bust. And so if somebody took me, I'd be like, okay, all right, you're gonna have to get over a little bit of your fear of heights. You're gonna have to get over a little bit of that fear of maybe going a little too fast. You're gonna have to work on your angles, you know, being agile and everything. And then I show up and I'm like, all right, I'm ready. Start me on something a little slow first, so that way I can, and then they tell me, oh no, you don't have to worry about any of that. No, we're going up. Do you know how offended I would be if someone took me skiing to come work? That's... Because then you watch this guy, the dude who, one of the winners I was watching, and he was doing 6-minute miles. 6 minutes it took him to clear a mile with skis on that he didn't need. Skis that shouldn't be on his feet, 6 minutes. You might as well have just made him hold a cinder block and run as far as he could, as fast as he can. Oh, some of these sports are insane. Like I always thought I liked the bobsled because of Cool Runnings. Every Winter Olympics, I tell myself I'm a watch the bobsledding and I'm a root for everybody black. And it's not until you see a bobsledding accident where you're like, oh, yeah, maybe nobody should be doing this. Maybe you might as well be in a gun if you were gonna bobsled down. I knew they were going fast because they go so fast past the camera, but it's not until like one, I don't know if y'all saw that one accident where like one dude was fully in, and then the other teammates were running, and then one of them, and then his foot went up and he flew backwards. And then the other dude, I think he got dragged for a second. And I was like, nah, I'm good. Even the curling. The curling this year has been phenomenal. I didn't know I would root for curling this hard. See the American curlers, they're doing crazy things. I didn't know that I could get so obsessed with like the technique, which I know nothing about. But there's just, once you're in it, once you feel like you're immersed in like the sport, you don't need to know the rules to get very upset. They had that moment because you see them, right? You see them, they're over here pushing the thing. Then they start yelling instructions. They're like, curl, curl, curl. And look, I still don't know what that means. But I'm assuming he means like, sweep, sweep, clean it up, clean it up. Could never let me on the team. I'd be yelling all types of just ignorant stuff. Like, it's dusty, it's dusty. Polish, polish. And when you see them knock two of the stones out and keep their stone in, I lose my mind. I lose my mind every time. I thought I didn't care about this sport. I thought I liked it and I'd watch it a little bit if it was on, but then, whew, when Canada and Sweden got into it, some of y'all don't know about this. Okay, so Canada. Now, once again, I don't know the rules. I don't know the rules at all, so I don't even know if anything bad happened. But Sweden accused Canada of cheating to their face. And then this Canadian dude, he had the rock and he was over here. And apparently when you let go, you're supposed to let go. Nothing else supposed to happen, but he went like, it's like looks like he did a little pluck, you know? Just give it a little extra. And this dude from Sweden, he's like, oh, okay, I guess that's what we do. I guess we're allowed to touch the rock after we push it and everything. And then this dude from Canada had way more bass in his voice than I'm used to. This dude from Canada was like, who? Who, me? Lost it, started cursing at this dude. I was like, man, you would never thought Canada and Sweden. Canada and Sweden ready to go to war over curling. Oh, I think it's phenomenal. I've been watching it. And I like to guess if it's a good throw or not. Because some of them let go, and as soon as they let go, I'm like, no, you done ruined it. Ooh. And they'll be sweeping. How do their arms not get tired? Those forearms must be on fire. I had a friend who started curling just for fun with his friends, and I was like, man, I know he must be trash at it. I knew he had to be bad. I didn't even see him play, but I knew he was terrible because his apartment was so dirty. I was like, you're not even getting the practice in that you should be. This is the easiest practice. There's some right there. There's some dust right there. You're not in love with the game. That's your problem. In the ski jump, I'll be honest with you, I didn't know how ski jumping even worked. Anytime I watch skiing, I'm in awe. I'm like, all right, that's far to fall. But the ski jump specifically, because that one, you're going down the hill as fast as possible, and then you shoot off. You shoot off. You just explode forward into the air. It's the one, if you don't know what the ski jump, it's the one where they're like on it, but then they do this. And they do it for so long. In my head, there's no way they're not screaming. There's no way. You don't do the ski jump and the whole time. And this team from Norway was disqualified. Like, even the equipment people were disqualified because they tried to cheat. Basically, what they did was they added a couple extra stitches to the crotch. I didn't think that was a big deal. But that's because I don't really know physics. Apparently, the ski jump is all about lift and drag and all this other stuff that I probably should have paid attention to my sophomore year in high school. But basically, by adding a couple extra stitches and a little extra room in the crotch, when they expand, they become an even better flying squirrel, you know? Because the crotch is sort of center of mass. It wouldn't help to put extra fabric on like the shoulders. The crotch is really where it's at. And so as they're flying, they hope to like create a little bit of a parachute, like a little extra parachute by adding stitches to the crotch. Because they said that even adding like a couple of centimeters could translate with all that speed and with all that extra lift, and with that much of a difference in drag, a couple of centimeters could end up being like 10 feet. I know. I know. I was blown away. In my head, I was like, why don't they just like eat more then cut weight right before the event, you know, lose a couple pounds of water weight, and then you got a whole bag. Even the opening of the games was wild. Because the opening of the games, when J.D. Vance got booed. That was hilarious. Because here's the thing. I can tell you, as someone who's been on stage, that initially, when you're getting booed, it's very hard to distinguish boo from woo. Initially, I heard the W, but then y'all gotta understand the rest was noise. And so I'm sure, you know, J.D. Vance showing up, and then they wooed for the people from the U.S., right? They wooed for the people from the U.S. representing the United States. And I don't know who was upset. I don't know why they did it, but they decided to throw J.D. up on the screen. You gotta understand, JD wasn't walking out with them. He was just there. And then someone threw up on the screen. And not since the Coldplay Kiss Cam have people been this upset. This is... People were mid-woo. They were mid-woo for the people from the U.S. All these athletes, woo, ooh, yeah, Aaron Jackson, get it, yeah, woo. As soon as they saw JD, like, woo. Because you gotta understand, there's also no elegant boo. There's never a boo that, like, it gets the point across, so there's never a boo where you're like, boo, boo. No, every boo I've ever heard of, every boo I've ever heard just sounds a little exhausted at the end. Because woo, you now want to stop so that you can enjoy the thing you were wooing. Woo! Woo! Boo, you don't even know what you want to have happen next. Because once again, JD did not walk out with them. Somebody threw him on the screen. And then he was looking up at the screen. And people... I love the way a boo is. Because boo usually is, you just run out of breath. Woo is with love. Boo is with so much, hey, you didn't account for how much air you needed in your lungs to start the boo. So when you woo, that's why some of them are short and they still get the point across. You know, like, woo, yeah. Wow. Wow. Boo. Boo. Boo! Boo! And then they interviewed JD afterwards about being booed, which I was like, come on now. Booing somebody is bad enough, but interviewing somebody who you're only interviewing them from being booed. He didn't do anything athletic. He didn't. They're just interviewing him because he got booed, which I didn't know was worthy of an interview. I feel like everybody said everything they needed to say. We saw him get booed. Imagine the reporter that's like, I gotta get the scoop. Like, this dude got booed. We know what happened. There's no more investigating you need to. They ask him like how it felt to be booed or what his reaction was or anything. It's like, man. That would be like if the school newspaper was like, why you going to the dance by yourself? No, interviewing somebody that just got booed is up there with like, when Joe Rogan used to interview fighters who had just been knocked out. It was like, Joe Rogan rolled right up to him. How'd that make you feel? And they're over here. I can't wait for the fight to start, Joe. Let me at him. No, they interviewed JD. JD was like, well, this is the Olympic Games. It shouldn't be a place for politics. They should focus on their country and making their country great at everything. And I was like, man, you're not good on the fly. Like you can tell it's really bothered you. You seem shook. No, it's just funny because it's like, it's the Olympics. It shouldn't be a place for politics. I'm like, it sounds like it's not a place for you. Like, politics aside, the world is there. Look, I haven't always done well on stage. I've had some bad reactions before. I've never been booed by the world. That's crazy. I've never gathered people together from all parts of the world and heard a resounding boo. Boo. That was crazy. Cause then you stand there, you JD Vance, and you can't even. You can't go anywhere. If you leave, they'll woo. Like you have to.
When I Providence, make some noise.
I don't know if y'all saw, but 23andMe is going bankrupt, and I imagine, Providence has some stake in what happens with all that data, because it was y'all. It was y'all that were looking it up and like, no, I just wonder, you know what I mean? Like sometimes, I don't know, there's just some days where I feel like a little Scandinavian, and no, it's just fun to find out. It's like, just how German am I? You get those percentage breakdowns and stuff. It's like, all right, do you? I don't know. I wonder. I truly wonder. I knew they had some black people in the commercials, but I do wonder how many of us it was. Because every time I saw an ad for like a 23andMe, I was like, I have a general idea. Nah, I don't need to be sad today. I would rather not. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And send me a bag. Send me a PDF that says, slavery. They got you. No, I was good. And one of the reasons that was good is that early on, like I'm finally vindicated where I can say this and not seem crazy, because even at best, if my thing is like wrong, it still wasn't the best business plan, so they're going to, so I don't look as, because my friends looked at me like I was out of my mind. I had so many friends, all white. I had so many friends doing 23andMe, and I was like, don't do it! And because I was a truther. I was like, look at what the company is doing, and look at what they're researching. You know what I mean? There are so many of these like heritage companies that are also putting money into pharmaceutical industry. And it's just to figure out how much of something people get when they're a certain lineage, invest in those drugs, expecting that thing to finally pop up one day. And people were like, that's so paranoid. And I was like, yeah, paranoid is... Paranoid is like why I won't do the thing. Like, okay, how do I put this? Paranoid to me is if you're right and you're paranoid, you're like spot on. If you're paranoid and you happen to be wrong, you do start to be crazy. Like that is what a crazy person, like now I'm crazy. If I was wrong and they were just a blossoming company and they were only helping the world, I'd be that one dude on the corner, don't take it. You know what I mean? That would be me. But look, all I'm saying is I told so many people, I was like, hey, you don't need to know. You made it through. Because then I had some friends where I was like, you don't even need to know because I can tell you. How about that? I'll do you that favor. You don't need 23andMe, I'll do it for you. I have a friend who, okay, these two friends, they're the sweetest, but they make marriage such a curiosity to me, because I don't get, okay, she had kind of given him this ultimatum, right? Like really, go ahead and like, we're either doing it or we're not, you're either in this or you're out, right? And so then he went ahead and proposed, and they got married. They're still married. And I don't know, like as a bystander, his friend, closer to him than her, I don't know why she would do that to herself, right? Because I went out to dinner with them one time, third wheeling it. It's okay because they're married. It's not awkward. I'm just chilling with my buddies, right? My buddy and his wife, who I'm now friends with as well. And the server comes over and we're ordering. And then the server asked if there were any food allergies. I said no. And he turns to her and goes, "Do I?" "Do I have any food allergies?" And she answered. She was like, "Yeah, shellfish." He was about to order the lobster bucket. And I was like, how is it worth keeping him alive like this? You literally forced an ultimatum to make it your job to keep him alive. Your prerogative, do what you want, but wow. You ever been driving and then you see like an animal on the side of the road and you're like, oh, we have to do something, someone might hit that animal, and so then you stop the car and you catch it and you put it in the back seat and you take it to like a local shelter or something, and they're like, hey, so sorry, we're really overrun. So then you take it home and it sort of becomes your dog over time, and you love it and you take care of it and you keep it alive. And that is exactly what she did with my friend. With my friend, she saw this dude who, if left to his own devices, would eat all the shellfish, not fully hitch himself, fully just get a puffed out head. And she was like, no, I need to not only stop that from happening, I need to make him my entire responsibility. And so when she was like, yeah, shellfish, and he was like, oh, right. I was sitting there like flabbergasted, right? And then we were eating, and as we're eating, she lightly starts choking, right? Like starts choking on her meal, and she's like doing the coughs and trying to get some water. Like just you can hear her trying to force it out, and we both recognize that she's choking, and we both we don't fully stand up because we're in a booth, but we start to like push up a little bit, like as if we're gonna have to get up, and I'm about to come around, and then he's like, spit it out. Sir, what do you think her plan is? Do you think she's like contemplating spitting out, but oh, it's just so good? I bring up this entire thing because he did a 23andMe. And I was like, bro, I can tell you right now, all right? You're half jackass. You're a quarter dumbass. And you're another quarter ass. He has a very big butt. He is thick. No, it's insane. Because then 23andMe not only was getting everyone's like data that had their DNA, also home addresses, also payment methods. So there's so many different things that are bad about a breach to 23andMe versus like a breach of Target or a breach of some other company that has a whole lot of credit card transactions, right? There's like actual things about you as a person in there. And I know as Americans, we don't care about our data. We don't. Our data, man, look, we gotta start respecting ourselves. For real, we are out here loose with our data, all right? You know what I mean? I'm not trying to shame, myself included. We are slutty with our data. Letting anybody get it. Anybody can get it. Anybody that feels like typing can get some of it. Not careful anything. We could have VPNs. We could have so much stuff. And nah.
let's be a little loose. There was already a data breach of 23andMe, and that freaked investors out. It freaked people out. It's like, what do people want with like my DNA results, you know? And then that stuff was apparently sold on the dark web in bits. And it's like, that's terrifying, because I don't know what the dark web is. Everybody keep talking about the dark web, but whenever I go to Safari, it's just regular web. Everybody talking about the dark web. I don't know. I'm not even saying I want on. I just don't know how to get on, which scares me because I feel like I might accidentally get on one day. Do you know what I'm talking about? You know how you could go somewhere? Like, to me, the dark web feels a lot like gang territory. When I was growing up, if you go on a long enough walk, you end up somewhere you're not supposed to be. But you're like, these the same feet that take me home took me here, so I wasn't trying to do anything, but that doesn't matter. Once you're in the territory, it's like, why are you wearing that color? So then imagine, I'm just on the regular internet. I go to Safari, Firefox, any of it, and I type in the website. I get it one letter wrong. All of a sudden my screen black and the letter's green. I'm sitting here trying to get out the matrix as fast as I can. And police quick with it now. They kick open the door like, why you on the dark web? It's like, no, it was my thumb. I didn't want this at all. So yeah, apparently a bunch of our data, a bunch of our DNA results are already on the dark web, which is insane. And then you have 23andMe, to their credit. This is why business is scary in the US, right? We get mad at companies for creating a product. And they used to create a product. Our parents and our grandparents know about this. They used to create a product and they put together the pieces. They had the best pieces to make the best product. And so if it ever broke down and you understood how the product was made, you could buy one of those pieces and fix that product, right? It's why our grandparents had TVs from the 60s. Because you could just go in there, you could open it up and be like, okay. And now purposefully, whether it's for IP, there are places that will sue you. There are certain phone companies that will straight up sue you if you fix people's phones for a business. Then some of those same companies will make it so everything is one use. So if it breaks, you have to buy another one, because that's how they keep the revenue coming in, right? They don't want you to be self-sufficient and actually know how to fix this thing, because then you might do it. They'd make less money. Right? So they make a worse and worse product and they charge more and more for it. And if everybody does it, it becomes the new norm. And so now you don't expect anything to last for 4 or 5 years. And that used to be short term. You used to get things that last you for 10 years. My boy's granddaddy had a laptop. It might be the first laptop. It's honestly so old we can't even tell what the brand icon is, because that wiped away a long time ago. This computer looks like it was made in the movie Dune, like it's futuristic and old at the same time. And you turn it on and the on button is hard. It's extra hard. You gotta press it with some girth. You gotta really lean on that on button if you want to turn it on. If you just press it, the computer's like, you don't want it bad enough. You gotta put your thumb almost in that button, and then you hear not even a click, you hear it's, every key is clickety-clacking and hard as hell. And then when you turn it on, it does cough. Turn it on, it makes all those fake internet sounds. You can hear the fan inside of it fighting for its life. The fan inside, because now all the blades of the fans and everything have an almost silent motion to them. Sometimes you can just hear them if they're really working overtime. I had this Lenovo laptop in college. It was one of the last laptops where it looked like, if you look closely enough, you could see at least one of the fan blades moving, right? The fan in this laptop, first of all, I think it's missing a tooth. Cause it's trying, it's coughing and it's trying, and you can hear it. His computer moans. I forgot to mention that. And then, if you want to turn on Wi-Fi, there's nothing clickable. You want Wi-Fi? You got to hit that switch. You got to slide a switch at the front of the computer. And then you get a little stick with the little edges on the side. Beep, 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 you know. This laptop got everything but an antenna. And his granddad knew computers, or at least he knew computers well enough back when computers first came out, like first computer, just little 0, little 1. He had it on lock. And so he fixed his laptop over and over and over again for years, to the point where even now it'll turn on. You gotta press extra hard, you really gotta lean your body over it, but it'll turn on. And that day is gone. We're not in that anymore. We're in the world of tech companies putting out their products and soldering it to make sure that if you open it, you destroy it, right? And 23andMe, to their credit, they came up with a good product. They came up with a very good product. The problem was you only needed it once. And so that was pretty much their undoing. Some people are going to say it was marketing. Some people are going to say it was general business plan. No, the thing that 23andMe did that was wrong in today's America was making a good product. People only needed it once, and then they could forget about it. And they tried the subscription thing. They tried it. And people, even my white friends were like, no, I got it. I mean, you said 45% Scandinavian. I'm going to take your word for it. I don't need to keep spitting in cups and sending them to you. That was the other thing I didn't trust. You know what I mean? Like, you just spit in a cup and mail it. Nah. Admittedly, that was a black thing for me. I was like, I'm not just gonna put my DNA out there for someone to have in case. Imagine now your mailman a murderer. He see that 23andMe package, he's like, this'll do nicely. Now the mailman kills somebody on his normal schedule. He open up your 23andMe and then dump out your little sample. See, they did it, right? And you can tell they did because they kissed him on the forehead right after. No. And so they made a very good product. Well, some would say an incredible product. There's connection. There's connection in knowing where you come from, especially if you're deeply in search for it. Finding those answers can be really special. Not special enough for me to spit in the cup and then mail it, because it's like, nah, you're not gonna get me, right? But one day, in some way, maybe, it'd be beautiful to figure out exactly where you come from, trace your entire lineage and everything like that. But a good portion of our life is genetics, but another portion is of where you come from are the people around you. The people that raise you are where you come from. Your environment is where you come from. Your culture, your community are where you come from. You know, if you have a good handle on those things, you know yourself. All the rest of the stuff is just gravy, you know? Because they tried to do these like home diagnostics, and that was a very bad idea. They were incredibly inaccurate, so people were either thinking they were in the clear or worrying for no reason, because you would do the 23andMe, and if you did the like pro premium package with the home diagnostic stuff, they'd send your sample back. They give you a PDF being like, yeah, you got diabetes. And then you would be like, are you sure? And they would say, no, I truly have no idea. That's the other reason I didn't do it. Not only am I like, no, I'm not gonna get my DNA out. What if you're a murderer? I also don't want to worry for no reason. Now, imagine somebody sending you something in the mail that's like, it's bad. It's bad, it's very bad. I'm not sure. Don't take my word for it, but it is pretty bad. I already have people in my life to do that. Truly, I already have people in my life giving me horrific medical advice. Just some of the worst stuff you've ever heard in your entire life. I have a friend who doesn't eat vegetables. Doesn't eat vegetables because he doesn't want to eat anything too phallic. I was like, well, explain your logic to me. And he was like, no, just dog, like, why, you want me to eat a cucumber? Try to bite a cucumber right now. It's all in your face, all hard and stuff. Not me. Not me. A carrot? No. I was like, you could chop it up. That's what they do. Do you think in a salad that they just lay the whole thing down? What are you talking about? Chop it up and eat your vegetable. He's like, no. You want me to hold? First of all, you want me to hold it and chop? You want me to hold? You want me to? No. That might give me nightmares, dog. I'm like, all right, yeah, be deficient in everything then. Just walk around needing a nap twice a day. That's on you. Horrific medical advice. The type of medical advice that makes you go, oh, okay. I didn't think there'd be anything worse than WebMD, but I found you. So they were doing these home diagnostic tests and everything, and they were sending people stuff back being like, yeah, you got a bunch of like heart stuff in your family. And then they would act accordingly. They'd go to their doctor, they'd run a bunch of tests. And if they were lucky, that was like incorrect, you know? Or sometimes they would miss whole things, you know? They'd be like, nah, you good. You good. In fact, your blood pressure low. You might want to get something salty right now. Nah, hit that pork chop right quick. You have the pork chop, all of a sudden you dizzy. Why is my whole left side hurt? And so now that they're going bankrupt, there are people that are looking to buy it, and some of those people are like potentially insurers, which is terrifying. Is everything that I told people not to do when they were on the up and up. I'm like, hey, so now an insurance company is gonna buy your DNA and then not let you do any claims because they're like, no, we know you sick, dog. We saw the 23andMe. You know, because if you do a 23andMe of a corporation, they are 100% devil. Also somehow 100% efficient. No, it sucks. I look at where I come from, and like I said, it's from the people who raised me, people who put me together, or what I'm made up of. Like, there are people in my life that I was very fortunate to meet young who were much older, so they had a lot of wisdom to pass down. I remember there was this woman who would she'd just drop gems on me every now and again, out of nowhere, right? One time she said to me, she was like, you know, be very careful when you're picking a partner. Be very careful who you have a child with, because you're not making a baby, you're making a soul. And that's forever. She also once told me, don't ever trust somebody named after fruit. And I was like, what? And she was like, seriously, if somebody comes in your life named Clementine, she a hoe, all right? Don't trust any Clementines, okay? out of nowhere one time she told me. We were just sitting, and she was saying this about people, but she was like, when you finally see yourself the way that the people that love you see you, what a wonderful world that'll be. That's all the world's missing, is people that see themselves the way that the people that love them see them. Truly, like, there's, in everything that people do and everything we search for, we try to find it in all these other places, but there's a level of acceptance that other people have for us, and sometimes we reject it or we think we don't deserve it. But if we could see ourselves, you wish it. You wish it on people when they're battling addiction and depression. You wish, it's like, oh, I just want you to see yourself the way I see you. If you saw yourself the way that I see you, you wouldn't feel this way about yourself. You know? She also once told me never get in an argument with a woman and then eat the pie she makes after that argument. That's a pie full of glass. One time, she told me, I don't even know where it came from, but she said that sometimes when people are searching for love, that all they really need is to find someone who reminds them of their best day. Find someone who feels like their best day. You're gonna argue, you're gonna not be able to stay each other sometimes, but you can find somebody that feels like your best day. You won't always be happy, but you'll be like really in love. She was like, you find someone who feels like the best day that you've ever had. Because the best days only come once in a while. Every day can't be the best day, by definition. But if you find somebody that feels like your best day, you found a truly good life. She also told me that one time she got in an argument with her ex-husband, and she decided to let it go in that moment, you know, and bake him a pie. And she was like, wasn't my best day. I understand why people would want to do 23andMe, and I understand, at least on the surface, why they went bankrupt. They made the mistake of making a really good product and giving it to everybody, and everybody only needed it once. And that is tough. That's tough to watch people use their thing, watch that valuation go up. At one point, it was worth $6 billion. Billion. $6 billion. That's crazy. And then, you know, they started dropping off left and right. You know, people were like, oh, I'm not going to renew their subscription. Or I sent it to my friend, but they don't want to take it. And the other reason people didn't want to take it was the other thing they did that was really good, but was their undoing, was they were helping to catch a lot of murderers. There were a lot of murderers who didn't even do 23andMe. They were like, I don't care how Scandinavian I am. And they're like, well, your cousin does. Hands behind your back. And you over here. That's tough. That's tough. You know what I mean? Because look, listen. I'm not rooting for criminals, okay? But how would you feel if you did all that planning? Do you know what I mean? You do all that planning, you rob a bank, you make it out scot-free. They're gonna make a movie about this one day and not know how to end it. You made it off scot-free, didn't kill anybody, very low charges if they catch you, just brandishing a weapon. Get on the ground, you know, took all the money and stuff like that, haven't even spent it yet. And then one day, it's very quiet. It's so quiet that you're like, damn, it's quiet in here. And maybe you live in an apartment building. You're like, usually I hear somebody arguing with their spouse, hear some kids maybe. I mean, you know, hear some loud music, some teenagers around here. And you don't hear anything. And then out of nowhere, they bust open your door. They've cleared out all the neighbors, like, get on the ground. And you're like, what? How? How is this possible? You don't even have the money on. You planned it so well, the money's buried in another state. How? Oh, well, when you were robbing the bank, you cut your finger and it bled a little. And a brother you don't know you have spit in a cup in Providence, Rhode Island. And honestly, we wouldn't have found you if it wasn't for that. Like, we were like, all the markers aren't matching and we can't seem to connect the dots. And then your cousin spit in that cup. Turns out, you're pretty Scandinavian. You are very Scandinavian. Pick you up off the floor. Oh, thanks. Had no idea. Carting you off. Who knows? Maybe 23andMe's data, your data, will end up in good hands. Yeah, if you feel that way, you should delete it off the website right now. We are so loose with our data.